In the golden age of American automotive manufacturing, certain names became synonymous with quality, innovation, and engineering excellence. Marmon was one of these names, a company that built some of America's finest automobiles and later produced trucks that set new standards for commercial vehicles. But the Marmon story didn't end when the original company faded away. Instead, it was reborn in Texas in 1963, beginning a remarkable chapter that would last over 3 decades and produce some of the most meticulously handcrafted trucks ever built in America. The Marmon story begins in Indianapolis, Indiana, with the Nordyke Marmon Company, a flour milling equipment manufacturer founded in 1851. In the early 1900s, Howard Marmon, an engineering graduate from the University of California, joined the family business. Howard possessed a brilliant mechanical mind and a passion for the emerging automobile industry. In 1902, Howard Marmon designed and built his first automobile, initially intended as an experimental vehicle to test automotive technology. The car impressed everyone who saw it, and by 1904, the Nordyke Marmon Company had established an automotive division. The Marmon Motor Car Company was officially incorporated in 1926, though it had been building vehicles for over 2 decades by that point. Marmon automobiles quickly gained a reputation for advanced engineering and luxury. The company's crowning achievement came in 1911 when Ray Haraun drove a Marmon Wasp to victory in the inaugural Indianapolis 500, averaging 74.6 miles per hour. This victory cemented Marmon's reputation as a builder of fast, reliable vehicles. While Marmon built its reputation on luxury automobiles, the company's engineering philosophy extended to every vehicle it touched. What set Marmon apart was Howard Marmon's insistence on perfection in every detail. This wasn't mass production. This was precision manufacturing that bordered on artistry. Marmon vehicles featured hand-fitted components that were machined to tolerances far exceeding industry standards. Each engine was individually assembled and tested. Components were selected not just for functionality, but for optimal performance. If a part didn't meet Marmon's exacting standards, it was rejected, regardless of whether it would have been acceptable to other manufacturers. The company pioneered the use of aluminum in automotive construction, not just for weight savings, but because aluminum could be worked to finer tolerances than steel. Marmon's aluminum engine blocks were works of art, with smooth castings and precisely machined surfaces. The company developed proprietary alloys and heat treatment processes that made their aluminum components as durable as steel parts from other manufacturers. Marmon's attention extended to seemingly minor details. Fasteners were carefully selected and torqued to precise specifications. Wiring harnesses were hand-routed and secured with meticulous care. Paint was applied in multiple coats, with hand rubbing between layers to achieve a mirror finish. This level of craftsmanship made Marmon vehicles expensive, but owners knew they were getting something truly exceptional. In 1931, a pivotal partnership formed between Marmon and Arthur Harrington, an engineer who specialized in 4-wheel drive and all-wheel drive conversions. The collaboration produced Marmon Harrington, a company that converted existing trucks to all-wheel drive configurations and built specialized military and commercial vehicles. Marmon Harrington became particularly important during World War II, producing thousands of military vehicles for the Allied forces. The company built tank transporters, artillery tractors, and specialized all-terrain vehicles. This partnership kept the Marmon name alive in the commercial vehicle sector, even as the original Marmon Motor Car Company struggled and eventually ceased automobile production in 1933. By the early 1960s, Marmon Harrington had ceased truck production. The original legacy seemed finished. The Indianapolis operations were gone, the facilities sold, and it appeared the Marmon name would fade into history as just another casualty of industry consolidation. But something remarkable was about to happen in Texas. In 1963, a new company emerged in Denton, Texas, with an audacious plan. The Marmon Motor Company, a completely separate entity from the original Marmon companies, purchased the rights to the Marmon name and acquired the premium truck designs that Marmon Harrington had been planning but never produced. The founders believed there was still a market for ultra-premium handcrafted trucks, despite the dominance of mass-market manufacturers. This wasn't going to be another assembly line truck company. The new Marmon Motor Company set out to build trucks that would be dubbed the Rolls-Royce of trucks. Vehicles so meticulously crafted and precisely engineered that they would command premium prices from owner-operators and fleet managers who valued quality above all else. The Texas-based Marmon Motor Company embraced the original Marmon philosophy of uncompromising quality, but applied it to the modern trucking industry. Every Marmon truck was essentially a custom vehicle, hand-built to the customer's specifications with a level of attention to detail that was unheard of in the commercial trucking industry. The production process was more akin to building custom racing cars than manufacturing commercial trucks. Each truck began with a carefully selected chassis, chosen for its strength and quality. Frame rails were inspected for straightness and structural integrity. Any component that didn't meet Marmon standards was rejected before assembly even began. Marmon's craftsmen hand-fitted major components, adjusting and shimming until everything aligned perfectly. Engine mounts were positioned with precision. Drivelines were balanced to eliminate vibration. Cab mounts were carefully adjusted, so the doors opened and closed with a satisfying, solid feel that announced quality. The cabs themselves were works of art. Unlike mass-produced trucks where panels might not align perfectly or where gaps between components varied, Marmon cabs were hand-fitted. Body panels were adjusted until gaps were uniform. Chrome trim was polished by hand. Interior components were installed with meticulous care, ensuring that every switch, gauge, and control operated smoothly. Wiring harnesses in Marmon trucks were hand-assembled and custom-routed for each vehicle. Rather than using generic harnesses that might have excess wire bundled up somewhere, Marmon harnesses were precisely measured for the specific truck configuration. Connections were hand-soldered where appropriate, not just crimped. Every wire was properly secured and protected. Paint application was a multi-stage process. Surfaces were meticulously prepared, primed, and painted with multiple coats. Between coats, surfaces were hand-rubbed to remove any imperfections. The final result was a finish that rivaled custom automobiles, not typical of commercial trucks. Even the smallest fasteners received attention. Bolts were torqued to precise specifications using calibrated tools. Lock washers and thread-locking compounds were applied where appropriate. Nothing was left to chance. This attention to detail meant that Marmon trucks rarely experienced the annoying rattles and squeaks that plagued many commercial vehicles. Free to innovate without the constraints of mass production, the Texas-based Marmon Motor Company introduced numerous innovations and refinements that set their trucks apart from competitors. Marmon pioneered advanced cab designs that prioritized driver comfort and functionality. The company understood that truck drivers spent long hours in their cabs, and every detail mattered. Seats were carefully positioned for optimal visibility and comfort. Controls were placed where they could be reached easily without stretching or awkward movements. Visibility was maximized through carefully positioned windows and mirrors. The company developed both conventional and cab-over designs, giving customers choices for different applications. The conventional models, with their long hoods, appealed to owner-operators who valued the classic truck aesthetic and the easier engine access. The cab-over models maximized cargo space while staying within legal length limits, making them popular for long-haul applications where every foot of trailer length meant additional revenue. Marmon's butterfly hood design, featured on several models, was particularly innovative. The hood opened from both sides, providing unprecedented access to the engine compartment. Mechanics loved this feature because it made maintenance easier and faster. The design also looked distinctive, helping Marmon trucks stand out at truck stops and on highways. The company offered lightweight configurations that used advanced materials and careful engineering to reduce weight without sacrificing strength. Less weight meant better fuel economy and higher payload capacity, translating directly to increased profitability for operators. Marmon achieved this through aluminum components, high-strength steel in critical areas, and elimination of unnecessary brackets and reinforcements. Marmon's sleeper designs set new standards for driver comfort. Rather than treating the sleeper as an afterthought, Marmon engineered these spaces as proper living quarters. Insulation was superior to competitors, keeping sleepers comfortable in extreme weather. Storage was thoughtfully designed, with compartments and cubbies positioned for convenience. The quality of construction meant that sleeping in a Marmon wasn't just tolerable, it was actually comfortable. Aerodynamics received attention before most competitors considered it important. Marmon's designers understood that reducing air resistance improved fuel economy, a critical concern for long-haul operators. The company's sloped hood designs and carefully shaped cabs reduced drag, giving Marmon trucks a performance advantage. The company offered an extensive range of models to suit different applications. From the lightweight 54 series fleet trucks to the premium 57 series with high-rise configurations, from the 86 series cab-over sleepers to the 125 series with its distinctive sloped windshield, Marmon provided options for virtually every trucking application. Each model maintained the same commitment to quality and craftsmanship. What truly set Marmon apart was the company's willingness to customize trucks to customer specifications. While mass-market manufacturers offered limited option packages, Marmon would accommodate almost any reasonable request. Want a specific paint color not in the catalog? Marmon would mix it. Need a custom sleeper layout? Marmon's craftsman would build it. Require special equipment mounting? Marmon engineers would design and fabricate the necessary brackets and supports. This customization extended to mechanical specifications. Customers could specify particular engine and transmission combinations, gear ratios, suspension configurations, and axle specifications. Marmon worked with customers to optimize each truck for its intended application, whether that was hauling heavy equipment, running long-haul freight, or any other specialized task. The handcrafted approach meant that Marmon trucks were expensive and produced in limited numbers. While Peterbilt, Kenworth, and Freightliner were building thousands of trucks per year, Marmon's production was measured in hundreds. Some years, production was even lower. This low-volume production created both advantages and challenges. On one hand, the exclusivity appealed to certain customers. Driving a Marmon meant something. It announced that the driver valued quality and wasn't satisfied with mass-produced equipment. Owner-operators took pride in their Marmon trucks, often keeping them meticulously maintained and operating them for far longer than typical truck lifespans. On the other hand, limited production meant limited resources for developing new technologies and maintaining a nationwide dealer network. While major manufacturers could invest millions in research and development, spreading costs across thousands of units, Marmon had to be more conservative. The company focused on refinement and quality rather than revolutionary changes. One of Marmon's persistent challenges was the lack of a comprehensive dealer network. Major truck manufacturers had dealers in every significant city, offering parts availability and service support anywhere a truck might break down. Marmon, by contrast, had limited dealer representation, concentrated primarily in Texas and neighboring states. For owner-operators willing to travel to Texas for service or who had access to one of the few Marmon dealers, this wasn't a major problem. These customers appreciated the personal attention they received and the knowledge that factory-trained technicians were working on their trucks. But for fleet operators who needed nationwide service capabilities, Marmon's limited network was a significant drawback. The company attempted to address this through partnerships with independent truck repair shops and by designing trucks that could be serviced with standard tools and readily available parts for most routine maintenance. Marmon used engines, transmissions, and axles from major component manufacturers like Cummins, Caterpillar, Eaton, and Rockwell, ensuring that these major components could be serviced anywhere. But cab and chassis repairs still sometimes required Marmon-specific parts that weren't readily available everywhere. Throughout its existence, the Texas-based Marmon Motor Company faced financial challenges. The American truck market was brutally competitive, with major manufacturers engaged in price wars and aggressive marketing campaigns. Marmon couldn't compete on price. The handcrafted approach simply cost too much. The company had to compete on quality and service, a harder message to communicate and a smaller market niche. Economic downturns hit Marmon particularly hard. When the trucking industry struggled, Owner-operators, Marmon's core customer base, delayed truck purchases or opted for less expensive alternatives. Fleet operators, facing pressure to reduce costs, often chose cheaper mass-market trucks over premium Marmon vehicles, even if the long-term economics favored the more durable Marmons. The company moved from Denton to Garland, Texas at some point during its history, seeking better facilities or more favorable business conditions. But the fundamental challenges remained: high production costs, limited volume, and competition from much larger manufacturers with deeper pockets. By the 1980s, the American trucking industry was changing rapidly. Deregulation in 1980 transformed the business, leading to intense competition and pressure on freight rates. Many trucking companies failed, and those that survived focused relentlessly on cost control. This environment made Marmon's premium positioning even more challenging. The company introduced new models attempting to stay competitive. The 125 series, introduced in 1992, featured a modern sloped windshield design that improved aerodynamics and gave the truck a contemporary appearance. This model line represented Marmon's attempt to appeal to a broader market while maintaining the quality standards that defined the brand. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Marmon continued producing its full range of conventional and cab-over models. The 86 series cab-over, which had been in production since 1968, remained popular with long-haul operators who needed maximum trailer length. The various conventional models continued to appeal to owner-operators who valued the traditional truck aesthetic and the practical advantages of the conventional configuration. But production numbers were declining. The market for handcrafted premium trucks was shrinking as the industry consolidated. Large fleet operators dominated trucking, and these companies typically standardized on one or two manufacturers to simplify maintenance and parts inventory. The independent owner-operators who appreciated Marmon quality were becoming rarer. By the mid-1990s, it was clear that Marmon Motor Company was struggling. The company had survived economic downturns, competitive pressures, and market changes for over 3 decades, but the challenges were mounting. Production had slowed to a trickle. The Garland facility, once bustling with craftsmen hand-building trucks, grew quieter. In 1997, the last Marmon truck rolled out of the Garland facility. After 34 years of building some of the finest trucks in America, the Texas-based Marmon Motor Company ceased production. The production facilities were taken over by Navistar's Paystar division, and the Marmon name once again disappeared from the new truck market. Today, Marmon trucks from the Texas era are highly sought after by collectors and vintage truck enthusiasts. The truck's reputation for quality construction means that many have survived in good condition, still capable of work decades after they were built. Some owner-operators who purchased Marmon's new continue operating them, maintaining these trucks with the same care they received when new. The trucks represent something increasingly rare: American manufacturing that prioritized quality over quantity, craftsmanship over efficiency, and lasting value over initial cost. In an era of planned obsolescence and disposable products, Marmon trucks were built to last indefinitely with proper maintenance. Truck shows and vintage vehicle exhibitions often feature Marmon trucks, where they continue to impress with their quality construction and timeless designs. Enthusiasts appreciate the hand-fitted components, the quality materials, and the attention to detail that went into every truck. Many Marmon trucks still have their original paint, interior components, and trim pieces, testament to the quality of materials and construction. While Marmon trucks are no longer produced, the Marmon name continues in American business through the Marmon Group, a diversified industrial holding company. The Marmon Group operates numerous businesses in transportation, manufacturing, and other sectors, though it doesn't manufacture trucks bearing the Marmon name. The heritage remains important to trucking enthusiasts and historians. Books, websites, and forums dedicated to vintage trucks frequently feature Marmon content. Owners of surviving Marmon trucks often document their vehicles' histories and share restoration stories, preserving knowledge about these remarkable machines.